Welcome to the On Deck podcast for all your baseball DFS needs with your superstar hosts, fantasy baseball experts, Casey, Bubba, Bogman, and the Welsh. The On Deck podcast is brought to you commercial-free by LineStar app, the #1 top-rated data and analytics tool for daily fantasy sports.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the On Deck MLB DFS podcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at LineStar Sports. Make sure you check them out on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar MLB, and download the app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Everything you'll need in the palm of your hands to build your winning DFS lineups. There's the optimizers, the value tools, the stack tools, the chats, you name it, all in the palm of your hands. You can always find me on Twitter at BDintric, and I have a special guest as Bogman is still lost somewhere in Texas right now. So you can find this special guest on Twitter at Zero in Denver. He is in the chats all the time. He works for LineStar Sports. His name is Roland. Roland, how we doing, man?
Fantastic. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I want you to give everybody a little background about your DFS, what you do with LineStar, stuff like that real quick.
Sure. So I really got started on the NHL side of things. That's kind of my bread and butter and where I, feel that I'm strongest, but I love baseball as well. So you'll always find me in the chat there, trying to help people out. I'm really an MME guy. So I'm playing 150 plus lineups a night, and I try to share what I've done and what's worked for me and what I think will be helpful for people. So, hopefully I can kind of bring that insight into today's podcast.
It'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to chatting it up with you. I know the listeners will enjoy it as well. So we will go game by game as usual. Hope everybody had a great weekend. A lot went on. Tatis is back, one shoulder and all. So enjoy that while you guys can. I know Tyler will be happy tomorrow night when we record, but for now, it is what it is. But let's have some fun here. We'll kick it off. 10 games on this Monday, August 16th slate. Angels at the Yankees. You got Garrett Cole against Jose Suarez. The over-under is 8.5 in this game. Cole's returning from the COVID IL. He is 10-9 on DK. He is 11-4 on FanDuel, where Suarez is 75 on DK, 69 on FanDuel. Are you jumping right back on the Cole train, or are you kind of staying away? What's your thoughts on Cole on Monday night?
So far, I have a bit of Cole. I like what he's able to provide in his ceiling. Will he hit it? Hard to say. He's expensive, so you always have to think that it's going to scare some people off, because are you going to get that return out of a 10K plus pitcher? Lately, it hasn't been consistent, but I'm going to have a little bit of him.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the thing you mentioned there, which I like, is back in the day, even earlier this year, before the sticky stuff went away, you could just lock Cole in the cash. Like, you weren't worried about it at all. Play your cash, lock Cole in. Now it's the inconsistencies there. The ceiling's still there. We saw him put up 50 points like 4 starts ago, at 30 points after that, but then back-to-back teens, and that's not going to work for over 10K, as you mentioned. So the volatility is there, which makes him much more a tournament play than the usual cash appeal that we had with Garrett Cole. When you're looking at the bats in this game, since you do like Cole, are you looking at any Angels bats, or are you just focusing on some Yankees bats versus the lefty Suarez?
I love to hedge in this kind of position, but, and I even did a test build of 150 lineups just to see where I would land, if lock was coming up, and I don't have any right now. So yeah, maybe a few one-offs here and there, but I don't have any.
It's the Angels lineup, just like it's not what it once was. Even like Ohtani's great and all, but he's slowing down. He still costs you a fortune. Ever since Walsh returned from the injury, he's not quite the same. So like you said, if you're making a ton of lineups, you'd think you would land on a sum, but the fact that it hasn't spit me out yet, it's kind of intriguing. Obviously, we have a long ways to go till lock, when things can change. That's why I always tell people, this is the First Look podcast. A lot will change once lineups come out and all kinds of things happen. You'll be surprised. That's why when you watch the app, projections will change when lineups come out. It's always entertaining over there at LineStar. So I'm with you there. For now, I'm not on any Angels bad foot. Any Yankees intrigue you against Suarez?
I'm really into Judge today. That's probably my favorite. I don't have a whole lot of Yankees, but I do love that park, and I don't really have any Suarez either. So that usually, will lead me to have some Yankees, but kind of around Judge, right now is where my focus is.
Yeah, I like the Judge is starting to heat up. We know Judge has been very streaky in his career. When he's rolling, he's really rolling, and he's even stealing bases over the weekend, which is crazy to see with Aaron Judge. So that just gives you extra fantasy appeal to your lineup. So don't mind Judge at all. I usually just don't stack the Yankees for many reasons, but I could see it being an intriguing spot for Suarez. I'll say that much if you need to go there. 10-game slate, though, there's other places I'm definitely going to target to get things going, including in this game, Chicago Cubs at the Cincinnati Reds. You got Justin Steele against Wade Miley in Great American Small Park. Over-under of 9. Wade Miley's 82 on DK. He's 88 on FanDuel. Justin Steele is 54 on DK, 57 on FanDuel. Either pitcher of interest to you in this one?
Only Miley right now. He's intriguing to me. Again, there is some upside to him. I don't really love his price, but I don't really love the Cubs either. So that's kind of why I'm leaning that way.
Yeah, I'm with you. Miley's been that guy. He's had his bombs, of course, but overall this year he's actually been pretty darn good. ERA of 3 on the season brings it usually a pretty good floor into play, and he's not breaking your bank at all. He'll put up innings. Usually, like I say, he's probably more of a DK pitcher for me because he still struggles to get that 6+ innings for that quality start you might want over on FanDuel. But I definitely can see some appeal of Miley on both sides. And you mentioned it, that Cubs lineup is just abysmal right now. Like, they had a good game over the weekend in Florida, and they will once in a while, but if you're relying on that lineup to put up big numbers night in and night out, you're going to be in trouble. So lots of strikeout upside for Miley in that one. I'm all over that, and I like some Reds bats. What about you tonight?
Definitely. They were really kind of popping through the optimizer early for me. A lot of Votto, a lot of India, a lot of Farmer, Caskey as well. That's where I'm leaning so far, kind of in those 4 guys. How about you?
Yeah, no, I love those ones. Those ones will pop on most optimizers and just in general because everyone sees the lefty. Like, give me those guys. So I like them a lot, and I will focus on them. But I always say, like, don't forget Votto. He hits lefties just fine, and that's a way to make your stack a little different if you want. And I usually rarely will play Eugenio Suarez, but he's so low rostered these days. If you're doing a big tournament like you are, you're going to want some of his shares just to kind of be to differentiate. But I'm with you on the main Reds there. I think they're one of the hottest offenses in baseball. They're in Great American Small Park, going up against Steele. And the best part about it is even, if people are focusing on the righty-lefty matchup, Steele's not going to be there for long. So you're going to get a ton of bad Cubs bullpen. It's going to should be on paper, a very long night for the Cubs pitching staff. All right, next game we got on tap tonight, Atlanta at Miami on this one. Touki Toussaint versus Braxton Garrett, over-under of 8.5 on this game. We got Touki at 84 on DK. He is 79 on FanDuel. And Braxton Garrett is 74 on DK. He is 58 on FanDuel. 2 young arms, 2 volatile arms. We've seen the upside. We've also seen the downside of these two. What are your interests in either of these 2 arms tonight?
I have a little bit of Garrett. And, it's going to sound kind of wild, but I kind of like what I'm able to fit with him so far. Kind of the same with Touki. Like, I don't, love them or have a lot of confidence in them, but I like the bats that I can pair with them, and I'm willing to throw a few darts in a 150 max.
In tournaments, I love that because they're such volatile arms. But we've seen the strikeout upside from both of them that if they can just somehow flip 5 to 6 innings for you and even give up 3 or 4 runs but strike out 6+, they're not going to crush you. And like you said, the bats you can get can offset a lot of what potentially could be going on there. Garrett's got that upside I like a lot. And this Braves team, yes, they went off over the weekend. They had some great matchups, but as a whole, I'd say they've been rather disappointing this year. And they've laid a lot of duds in matchups that you think they should do well. So, no, I wouldn't be shocked if Garrett goes out there and shoves for 5 or 6 innings and gets you, on DK, gets you 16, 17+ points or something, and you're rolling happy. That's a great play in a 150 max. With that kind of interest in those pitchers, are you interested in, in your 150 max also coming back with some bats there?
Absolutely. I love the Braves. I love some Miami too. And, again, I really like what I can fit with them. If I'm doing a 5-man Miami stack, I can fit some of the top, let's say call them the chalkier and more expensive stacks with them. So, it's kind of a mix between trying to get a little contrarian as well as going a little bit more, towards what you would expect. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. And that's what's interesting about it when you're doing the multi lineup approach. Like if you're doing like a 3 max, like I usually do, some slates I'll go 20 max, but most of the time I go 3 max. And so I kind of keep it more of a cashy build with like a couple little twists in it. And that's where if I'm playing Braxton Garrett, I probably won't have any Braves in my 3 max. Just that's the way it'll work. But if you're doing a bunch, yeah, you roll with white hot Ozzie Albies who hits lefties just fine, like hits them very well. Yeah, Austin Riley and Dansby Swanson are crushing lefties and crushing everybody right now. So I have zero problem with that at all. And I've been running these Marlins like crazy because of the value they bring, like you mentioned. It allows you to get the pricey pitchers. It allows you to get the pricey bats, whichever way you want to build. And it's baseball so volatile. Brinson, De La Cruz, you got Aguilar's not expensive. All these guys that can just all it takes is a home run or two, and next thing you know, you're sitting pretty. So yeah, I don't mind either of these offenses. It's like one of those 4 outcome games that we used to talk about on the show a lot. That you can see it going a lot of different directions. And if you're doing 150, 100% would have exposure all over the place in that game. Baltimore at the Tampa Bay Rays. We got Matt Harvey versus Colin McHugh. Over under of 9 in this one. And McHugh's going to be opening for Fleming. So keep that in mind. McHugh's 71 on DK. He's not on FanDuel because they have issues with the opener or all that stuff. But Matt Harvey 63 on DK, and he is 67 on FanDuel. Harvey has reeled people in of late, and he's been decent. But it's still Matt Harvey. Are you using any Matt Harvey, interested in Fleming or McHugh, or is it all bats for you in this one?
I'm not a fan of the Tampa, openers and I guess long relievers in DFS. Matt Harvey, I'll play for the imagines, as we always say in chat. You get Matt Harvey and he comes out and he goes, 5 innings, with 2 hits and 0 earned runs, and you just hear the, imagine fading Matt Harvey. So I'll have 1 or 2 for that. But again, it's not something I'm seriously looking at with confidence and, any expectations.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like I tell people, make sure that you either don't watch the game or have plans after the second inning in case something went wrong, because this is what Matt Harvey can do. He has pitched well of late. I'm not going to say that much, but I'm always not expecting much from Matt Harvey. So it's one of those kind of in that Braxton Garrett ilk, I guess, if you're saying, okay, it allows me to do so much to my lineup, sure. On that flip side, I love attacking Josh Fleming. So if McHugh goes a couple innings, you get Fleming out there. I think the Orioles bats are very much in play for me. What are you looking at bats-wise between the Orioles and the Rays in this one?
I really like the Rays the last couple of days. Wander Franco's expensive, but I like him. Zunino's always a favorite of mine. A little more expensive for a catcher, but has been a favorite for mine for a long time. What do you think?
Yeah, I love the Zunino call. Wander is it's really funny because everyone's hyped when he got up here. It was kind of a slow start. Now he's crushing almost daily, and it seems like no one talks about him anymore. It's one of the weirder, like everyone's still obsessed with Jared Kalenic, who can't produce. So it's really weird because Franco is hitting very, very well. Rosarena's swinging it pretty well. And then I always like using Brandon Lowe versus righties at any time I can. So I'm with you on those. But I like the Zunino call because I use him a lot in tournaments because no one ever rosters him because all they see are the strikeouts, but they miss the fact he has 26 home runs now or something, because that's what Zunino does. So he's a great tournament catcher. 100% with you there. So I'm on that. I always like my Orioles, though, especially against a lefty like Fleming. So I have no problem getting exposure to either one of those options. All right, Oakland Athletics at the Chicago White Sox. Frankie Montas, Dallas Keuchel, over-under of 9 on this one. Montas is 95 on DK, 94 on FanDuel. Keuchel's 69 on DK, 72 on FanDuel. Roland, Montas has been outstanding of late. I know he can give up runs from time to time, but he backs it up with strikeouts, which still gets you usually a pretty good night out there. So are you interested in Montas or Keuchel tonight?
Montas a whole lot. Again, a little more expensive, but I think that's kind of the DFS thing. We always wish they were a little bit cheaper. Yep. But I really like him, and I like the matchup in what he's, what the potential could be. Like you said, with the strikeout. So I'm willing to take some solid stands with him.
Yeah, 100% with you. Like I rarely ever roster Keuchel is because he doesn't have the strikeouts. Once in a blue moon, he puts them out there. So he has to be super efficient to be productive when it comes to fantasy. At least his price is down now. It used to be pricier where it made it tough to do. You can almost kind of negotiate yourself there, but those days bats are hot, and I'm kind of staying out of the way there. But I do like Montas. I'll have some Montas, especially for the fact that most people love the White Sox bats. So Montas will probably, people will see the price, they'll see the matchup, they're like, yeah, I don't want that much Montas, hopefully. So that's my dream as we record right now. What bats do you like in this game from either side?
For the White Sox, I have a lot of Abreu, a lot of Andrew Vaughn as well, because he's pretty cheap on DK at 3,000. I butcher names. Eloy, I'm going to have a lot of him as well. And Luis Robert, him as well.
Yeah, no, Eloy is hitting everything right now, so I can't judge you on that one. I have no problem going against Montas, especially if you're going 150 max. Definitely going against Montas. I will stay on the A's right now. I keep playing Starling Marte. He's super ridiculously expensive, but the dude, if you're playing cash, you almost plug him in just because he gives you nearly double digits every night, which the floor he brings is tremendous. Plus his upside. Chapman is starting to really heat up. If you want to try to run that streak out there, knock yourself out. But and Josh Harrison's supposed to be back on Monday, which is always a nice cheaper piece in the A's lineup. So I don't mind some A's versus Keuchel, and hopefully Keuchel has one of his rougher nights on the diamond. We have the Houston Astros at the Kansas City Royals on this one. Jake Odorizzi, Carlos Hernandez, over under of 10 in this matchup. We have Odorizzi 73 on DK. He is 73 on FanDuel. Hernandez 66 on DK, 71 on FanDuel. And Roland, I'm going to tell you this much. I usually never use Odorizzi. Sometimes my detriment, sometimes not. But Hernandez, I've been on for since basically the last 2 starts, and I've been loving it. The Astros are scary. I get it. But I think the savings he can bring and the upside he can bring, I'm tempted to use some Hernandez tonight.
I'm with you on that. I don't like it right now, if Locke was quickly approaching, but, sometimes a good lineup should scare you a little bit, don't you think?
That is one of the things I try to tell people all the time. Like, if you're too comfortable with your lineup in the world of baseball, like football, you can kind of script out things. Basketball, there's always volatility, but you should feel a little more comfortable there. Baseball, you need to have some uneasiness in you. Like, you really do, because you need that random thing to happen. And that's what you should be playing for. So I'm all in on that Hernandez idea and hoping it's Kyle Tucker's going to be out probably for the whole week with his COVID issue. And you just hope Jordan doesn't stay hot and go from there. So I'll be on some Hernandez. Will you be on either bats in this game?
I was getting a lot of Houston in the optimizer early. So I do like Alvarez a whole lot, Correa and Altuve, Brantley as well. So that's kind of where I'm looking at for Houston. And that's, again, as I'm building lineups and I'm kind of trying to see who the optimizer is giving me. And then I usually adjust accordingly because, from my point of view, if an optimizer is giving me a whole lot of something, I need to go and back check it, because if it's falling in, other people are probably doing that too. Mm-hmm. And that's when I usually want to cut down, kind of shave it off so I'm not getting so much, and trying to kind of cut those out.
Yeah, it's the old theory. Like, I do it a lot with golf when I do my 20 maxes and stuff. Is you look at projected ownership and you can only go off of so much, and a lot of that projected ownership comes from optimizers and some other things like that. So, like you said, if an optimizer is spitting out so much of this, everyone else is probably using the similar thing, and they're going to be in the same ballpark basically. So you decide: do I really like this game or not? Do I want to go over the ownership or under the ownership and start changing the way you look at things? That's how I do it. Everyone does it differently, but that's one, it's a little different in golf, of course, than doing a baseball stack. But the premise, the idea behind it, like you said, you cut it back a little bit, or maybe you're like, you know what, this one's not as high as I thought it'd be. Let's go a little heavier here and cut back here and mix and match. And that's how you can kind of change your leverage with still maybe eating some chalk. And that's why it's an okay thing, but you change it in that regards, and that's not an issue at all. So I like that as well. Like Astros, there's 4 or 5 teams where I'll just say it's Dodgers, Astros, some other teams when they're really hit, like the Reds right now. It's like the Jays. Like, I tell you, you can stack them every night if you want. Like, they're that good. They're gonna go off, knock yourself out. But you don't need to listen to me to tell you to stack like the Blue Jays whenever they're playing a bad pitcher. So that's kind of the easy stuff. But I'm with you. Houston, a great team. Like, if they beat up anybody, no one would be surprised. So I'm with you there. Any interest on the Royal side of it, or you're just like, yeah, no, I'm good?
A little bit. I think that I'll just really throw a few darts, with them, kind of try to stick towards, some of the names like Whit Merrifield, but yeah, I guess I just don't have a whole lot of solid interest in KC. I think they can make some interesting lineups, but I'm just getting them as a few darts.
Yeah, I usually don't go all in on KC too often, but when I do, right now, at least the last week, Whit Merrifield's been way too cheap, especially on DraftKings, way too cheap. That's just one of those guys you just kind of take advantage of it while you can and move on. Usually, a lot of times I just do a Whit and Salvi 1-2 and just walk away. It's the chalkiest Royal stack you can get, but it's still not as high owned as you would think it would be. So it's not too bad. Cleveland at Minnesota as we head on through the evening here, and we don't have we do Cal Quantrill, Griffin Jacks, over under of 10. Quantrill is 78 on DK. He's 85 on FanDuel. Jack 7K on DK, 61 on FanDuel. And Roland, I've been all in on Cal Quantrill lately, and I don't plan on stopping tonight versus Minnesota.
I'm with you on that. I think it was you that put me on him last time out. Maybe not last time, but one of the last couple starts, and he did really, really well. And for his price, I'll continue to roll that out and see what happens.
Yeah, his price is there, and the biggest thing, his strikeouts have gone up like the last 4 or 5 starts, and that's we talk about time and time again. That's your DFS, that's your currency. So he can do that. We're good. The Twins' offense does not scare me at all. So yeah, give me some Quantrill on this one. I won't be using any Griffin Jacks. Are you buying back into that 10 strikeout performance he had like a start or two ago?
I'm not going to chase it.
Yeah,
Again, right now I'm getting a few darts. As I get closer to lock, I start to kind of adjust more and, decide, is it really worth me trying to, burning a lineup or two, kind of hoping for the best. And usually to me, that answer is no. And I'll just completely cut them out. And I feel like that will probably happen with Jacks.
Yeah, I'm with you there, which makes me also like some Cleveland bats, which is really not the most comfortable thing. But J Ram's always hitting. Franmil is in play from time to time. And if you just need like cheap catchers and stuff, Austin Hedges is actually hitting well. It's not the most fun stack in the world, but the Cleveland bats can produce from time to time and really put some numbers up for you.
Yeah,
all right.
I like Cleveland a lot. They're one of my early favorite stacks, and I'll have a lot of them.
Nice. We go to Coors Field, the place where everyone loves to stack. San Diego at Colorado. Ryan Weathers, Antonio Sensatella. Over under is 12 on this one. So even Vegas thinks this is going to be fun. Sensatella is 68 on DK, 7,000 on FanDuel. Weathers is 57 on DK, 59 on FanDuel. Are you just avoiding the pitchers? Are you actually going to, use some stones and go play some?
I love playing pitchers in Coors, usually just to troll chat, but I don't see myself doing that tonight.
I've played a lot of pitchers in Coors this year. I do not want to do it tonight. It's not happening tonight. With that being said, where are you stacking it up? Because this, like the total of 12, it's one of those nights like, yeah, this is probably going to happen.
I've got a lot of Colorado. They're pretty cheap. You're not getting great names in, Connor Joe or Garrett Hampson, but again, they're pretty cheap for Coors, so they can fit with anyone. So I'll probably have a lot of mini stacks with them. It's not the Rockies of past with, Blackman and Arenado and, Cargo. We're getting these, AAA call-ups, and, low end players. So I'll have some as fillers, but I don't see a lot of 5-man stacks with Colorado.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like it's a tough way to fade. Like even in my 3-max, like there's a lot of nights I'll just fade Coors. Like you're 150, you won't fade Coors. You'll have some Coors exposure. But this is a night where it's like, okay, I don't have to go all in like you're saying, but I need to have some because it just feels like it's gonna happen. And Connor Joe's a guy I've been targeting a lot lately. He's been actually swinging well towards the top of the order, and he's cheap. You mentioned Hampson. Trevor Story is expensive, but he hits left. He's just fine. He's hitting great since the trade deadline, so I have no problem going there. Sam Hilliard's hitting. Like there's, like you said, it's not the flashiest of names, but there's players you can definitely take advantage of. On the Padres side of it, who you're looking to use there?
Everyone.
Yeah.
Again, I think that I'll have a lot of 5-man stacks of San Diego, and just trying to hit as much in that top of the order as I can. Which will bring us to like Frazier and Machado and Cronenworth and Tatis. It's hard not to get excited about the Padres tonight.
Yeah, it's hard not to. And the big names are obviously in play. I'll have a lot of Rake and like guys like Grisham and stuff, and even Hosmer, the guys that kind of get overlooked after the Machados and the Tatises. And I'll be having a lot of those pieces. And I don't think they'll be as overlooked going into tonight, unfortunately. 2 more games to go on this slate. If we can remind everybody, give a rating review on iTunes. We would truly appreciate the On Deck podcast brought to you by LineStar Sports. And also, if you'd like to watch the podcast, go to the LineStar YouTube channel. Give it a gold thumbs up and subscribe over there. We'd much, much appreciate it. Mets at the Giants. Rich Hill, Kevin Gossman, over under 8.5 on this one. Gossman's 10-1 on DK, 10-3 on FanDuel. You got Rich Hill, who's 81 on DK, 82 on FanDuel. I said it Gossman's last time out, and like as a Giants fan, I pay way too much attention to this team. His hiccups happened when his wife was having complications with the baby. And that was like, it was a mental thing. There's always the off the field stuff we don't know about, but that was clear. The baby was fine. He threw well. The baby was born before his last start. He threw really well. I'm back on the Gossman train.
All in as well. One of my favorite pitchers for tonight. We'll have lots of him.
Yeah. With that being said, I don't want anything to do with Rich Hill. Do you?
I was getting a lot of them, and that's kind of the situation where you have to look at it and kind of think to yourself, what has he done for me in the past? And there's been a lot of frustrating nights with Rich Hill that I think I'm going to have to change some lineups around so I have a whole lot less of him. Maybe some kind of few darts here and there, but it's hard to imagine having a good percentage of him in lineups.
Yeah, it's like he's one of those guys that sure we've seen him have good nights, but this year and even the last couple of years, it's few and far between, which is really tricky. And it's no homer in me. This Giants offense is pretty darn legit these days. So especially against lefties. So I'm gonna have some Giants. Like you have Slater leading off, you have Flores in there, you have Ruff who's hitting well. The caveat I always give is they're so deep. If Hill gets like out early, they'll pinch hit and move guys around. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're stacking Giants, which there's two parts to that. If they take him out early, that means they did well. You probably paid off already. So that's good. But at the same time, if it's like he goes 5, he goes up 3 runs, and you think you're doing well, you might get pinch hit for and you're in trouble. That's my only caveat. Do you want any bats in this game?
Yes. Specifically looking at Brandon Belt, since I got burned by him today. So I was hoping I'm a day early, and then I'll have a good game tonight.
There you go. Belt is a sneaky one. I hope he gets it done for you because he can't hit lefties just fine. They've got to put him out there and see what happens. So I'm with you there. Last game of the evening, Pittsburgh Pirates, Los Angeles Dodgers. You got Stephen Brault going up against, looks like right now we have Jackson, or Gratterall as the opener, Jackson as the long man for the Dodgers. We'll wait and see how that pans out throughout the day. But Brault is 76 on DK. He's 68 on FanDuel. I think I'm just looking at bats in this game. I don't know about you.
Same for me. I don't really have any interest in pitching in this game.
Which bats are you looking at here? Because this Dodgers team, like Will Smith is on fire right now.
Absolutely. I mean, all the Dodger bats, kind of like what I was mentioning earlier, you get some of these cheaper teams, the Colorados and, some of the Cubs players, you can make some pretty unique lineups. With to me, I see the Dodgers as being probably a popular stack tonight, but even if you 5-man stack Dodgers, you still have 5 other spots where you can get unique with. And I'm always looking to see, I can get unique with a lineup and not be duplicated.
Mm-hmm. No,
that's my intent.
And that's a great point because, and I've told people that with other, like I tell them with baseball, but it's easier in golf to explain it with just 6 golfers. It's like you just got to be different, like 1 or 2 places. Mm-hmm. So, like you said in baseball, I can go take the chalky 5-man stack. And I'll go use a cheap pitcher and be different. Or I'll go use this guy and be different. I'll go use you'll go use Whit Merrifield and you'll be different already. Like stuff like that just differentiates everything. And so there's nothing wrong with that. I always laugh at the people that say, oh, I got to be different everywhere. No, you don't. Because A, it'd be almost impossible to hit. Not impossible, but it'd be very tough to hit. And B, no. So I'm with you on the Dodgers on this one. I think guys like Justin Turner, Chris Taylor, AJ Pollock's usually one of the lower owned ones that can hit lefties just fine. So I think there's a lot to like with the Dodgers as usual. And the one, Max Muncy, he hit 2 homers on Sunday night, but he hits lefties extremely well. And so that's another one to throw in your stacks there too. So I'm with you on the Dodgers stack. They'll be very popular. Well, the thing is, we say that, but with Coors in play, you never know. Like that always changes everything when Coors is in play. So that could be fun as well. All right, Roland, we went through all 10 games. Let's recap things for the listeners real quick here. Who are your top pitchers of interest on this slate?
Top pitchers so far, Gausman, Cole, and Miley and Montas, I would say, are my top 4.
Yeah, I'm with you. Montas, Miley, Gausman, Cole, kind of in that order for me, but I'm with you. And then dropping down from there, I'm going to have a lot of Quantrill and maybe Hernandez from KC. What other cheaper options are you looking at?
Definitely Quantrill. I'm just kind of feeling Garrett. Let's kind of see what happens.
I like it. Yeah, don't mind that at all. What stacks are you looking at tonight?
On the other hand, I am looking at Atlanta. If Garrett gets blown up, then, I definitely want to take advantage of that. Cleveland, San Diego, and Oakland round out my favorites.
I like the Cleveland, San Diego, Oakland. Obviously, we'll mention the Dodgers again because we're both on that one. I think the only other one we missed out of this that I'll mention is I'll be back on Cincinnati again against the Cubs. That's another big one for me to target. Yeah. Like that's the beauty of it, though. See, we have Cincinnati, Oakland, LA, and then you have Coors in play. It might be spread out more than we think. That's the beauty of it right there. Or even You go put like a 3-man of one of those teams in, and they get a 5-man of the other. You'll be very different still, like you mentioned. So there's ways to build people, and the LineStar app will help you with that. So make sure you download that app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. You won't regret it one bit, because what Roland was using for his projections and his optimizer was from the LineStar product. So I recommend you check that out. But as we head on out of here, like we do each and every show, I remind people to check out LineStar on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar MLB, because they're always tweeting out great content, the home runs, the lineups, the news, you name it, they tweet it out. And Monday through Friday, they tweet out the home run calls of the day. And on this special edition, myself, Roland, and I believe it'll still be Ryan Humphreys, will give our home run calls of the day. If you guys retweet that tweet, 3 lucky retweeters will get paired up with each one of us. If our home run call goes deep, you get some free swag. So Roland, as a special guest on this night, Monday, August 16th, who's your home run call of the day?
I hope it's not one you already had in mind, but I'm going to go with Aaron Judge.
Nope, that's all yours. That was not one on my list, so I'm good with that one. Mine was actually going to that Cleveland stack, and it's kind of it seems too easy, but I'm going Jose Ramirez. I'm feeling some Jose Ramirez on a Monday. You got Aaron Judge. Looking forward to seeing what Ryan Humphreys has. So everybody, make sure you retweet all that good stuff, and then follow Roland on Twitter at @0inDenver, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. This was the On Deck MLB DFS podcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at LineStar Sports. Make sure you go rate and review, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the LineStar App On Deck podcast. Download LineStar app from the App Store or go to linestarapp.com for all your DFS baseball needs. If you love the On Deck podcast, support Casey, Bubba, Bogman, and the Welsh by rating and subscribing. Good luck!